Hi everyone, this is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time and welcome to my channel. Thank you so much for being a viewer and a subscriber. If you're not a subscriber yet, please consider clicking the subscribe button and please enable notifications. I would greatly appreciate that. This channel, the Ignition Time channel, is about the country, it's about the economy, and it's about your money. Let's just jump right in. Yesterday, the new White House press secretary, Jennifer Psaki, conducted her first press briefing. Now, it was quite a surprise because it was a normal press briefing. It was a normal press briefing in which the White House press secretary didn't have to talk about alternative facts, alternative realities, didn't have to make up stuff on the fly, and didn't have to lash out at news networks and use harsh language and get super aggressive and super abrasive with the media. In fact, on the contrary, there was a lot of respect for the media. And let's take a look at a clip with Jennifer Psaki, the new White House press secretary. And I'm actually going to contrast that with some of the fun things, really fun things that have been said by Sean Spicer. Remember Sean Spicer? I believe he's on Dancing with the Stars right now. And Kayleigh McEnany, who, boy, oh boy, Kayleigh McEnany got into some heated arguments with many reporters, including her best friend Jim Acosta from CNN. There's Kayleigh. Hello, Kayleigh. And there's Jim Acosta from CNN. Hello, Jim. I'm sure they're best friends and they hang out together. I don't think so. So what we have right now is the first press briefing, and I wanted to show you some highlights of the first press briefing with the Biden administration, where Jennifer Psaki says rebuilding trust with the American people will be central to the focus of this White House. And she did talk about the importance of a free and fair press. Now, keep in mind that I do believe the press should be equally harsh with any administration. I don't think that the press, or for that matter, any reporter, including someone like myself, should be subservient or should be sycophants and should simply say, kumbaya to everything every administration says. Absolutely not. I'm going to call out stuff as I see it, and I promise you I'll call out stuff on both sides. But the problem here is the intense contrast between the two, and the sheer alternative reality and the sheer division that was demonstrated through the press briefings. And by the way, for a long time there were no press briefings. And then again, Kayleigh McEnany, who has a taxpayer funded salary, was doing stuff for the Trump administration almost as a campaign official, because she was talking about, she was essentially doing things that campaign officials would do. So it was very interesting how the lines were blurred, how the lines were non-existent. But let's get back to a healthy dose of reality and look at some important segments of the first press briefing with Jennifer Psaki, the new White House press secretary. Let's roll the tape. And then when we contrast it with comments from Sean Spicer and Kayleigh McEnany, you'll see the difference. Let's look at the normal and then we'll make our way towards the abnormal. Let's roll the tape.
We talked about the importance of bringing truth and transparency back to the briefing room. And he asked me to ensure we are communicating about the policies across the Biden-Harris administration and the work his team is doing every single day on behalf of all American people. There will be times when we see things differently in this room, among all of us. That's okay. That's part of our democracy, and rebuilding trust with the American people will be central to our focus in the press office and in the White House every single day. We are in the middle of an urgent crisis in this country. It's not just impacting Democrats, it's impacting Republicans, it's impacting red states and blue states. And this plan is intended to address the suffering of the American people. So we are only less than a day, has he been President of the United States, but he's going to continue to work with members of both parties to get it done. Remember, he spent 8 years here as the Vice President, playing an important role as a partner to President Obama. And, that was the emotion that overtook him today. He's also eager to get to work. He was asking questions about policy and COVID and what's next. And so that also reflects his desire to roll up his sleeves and get going.
So if President Biden wants a theme of his presidency to be unifying the country, does he think that Nancy Pelosi and Chuck Schumer should drop a potentially divisive Senate impeachment trial?
Just like the American people can, the Senate can also multitask, and they can do their constitutional duty while continuing to conduct the business of the American people. And his view is that the way to bring the country together is to address the problems we're facing. Well, his priority is first rebuilding our partnerships and alliances around the world and regaining America's seat at the global table. And you can see that is evidenced in his rejoining the Paris Climate Agreement, rejoining the World Health Organization, his plans to engage with partners and allies and work together to address many of the threats and issues we're facing around the world. But I think that is what you will see as his focus in the weeks ahead.
Now, let's take a look at notable comments and notable sections from Sean Spicer's press briefing. Sean Spicer was the first White House press secretary, and then, he disappeared shortly after. But let's compare what you saw from Jennifer Psaki with what you saw from Sean Spicer, which is a pretty significant contrast. And then we'll compare what Jennifer Psaki says with with just one segment from Kayleigh McEnany. I believe the highlights of Kayleigh McEnany's press briefings over the several months. And by the way, there were weeks where there were no press briefings, but those highlights will emerge. And when they emerge, I think we'll get an even more definitive analysis. But I decided to pick a press briefing where she really went at it with Jim Acosta from CNN, and she let him have it, if you will. But it was not. It was not the kind of conversation you expect to see from a White House press secretary, because the White House press secretary is supposed to represent the White House to the country and to the world. But anyway, let's take a look at some relatively mild and tame things from Sean Spicer before we get to the really intense stuff. Let's roll the tape and look at some notable moments from Sean Spicer's press conferences. Let's roll the tape.
The president has nothing further to add on that.
And why did he say that? Why did he tweet that? What should we interpret from that?
As I mentioned, the president has nothing further to add on that. You look at just the one network alone got 16.9 million people online. Another couple of the networks, there were tens of million people that watched that online. Never mind the audience that was here, 31 million people watched it on television. Combine that with the tens of millions of people that watched it online on a device. It's unquestionable. I don't see any numbers that dispute that. When you add up attendance, viewership, total audience in terms of tablets, phones, on television, I'd love to see any information that proves that otherwise. You had someone as despicable as Hitler, who didn't even sink to using chemical weapons.
Quote, Hitler didn't even sink to the level of using chemical weapons. What did you mean by that?
I think when you come to sarin gas, he was not using the gas on his own people the same way that Assad is doing. I mean, there was clearly, I understand your point. Thank you. Thank you. I appreciate that. There was not he brought him into to the Holocaust Center. I understand that. But I'm saying in the way that Assad used them, where he went into towns, dropped them down to innocent into the middle of towns, it was brought to it. So the use of it, and I appreciate the clarification there. That was not the intent. It can't be a ban if you're letting 1 million people in. If 325,000 people from another country can't come in, that is by nature not a ban.
I understand your point, though.
It is
but
extreme
the president
vetting.
himself called it a ban.
I understand.
Is he confused, or are you confused?
No, I'm not confused. I think that the words that are being used to describe it are derived from what the media is calling this. He's been very clear that it is extreme vetting.
And if you thought that was unusual, wait till you see this. Jim Acosta from CNN asked some really tough questions, basically trying to put Kayleigh McEnany on the spot. And that's what reporters are supposed to do. Ask tough questions. Don't be like, oh, you're wonderful. That's not that's not how reporting should work. So Jim Acosta asked Kayleigh McEnany some really tough questions, and you can see Kayleigh McEnany initially getting a little bit upset, and then really lashing out and reading from some prepared comments. And she lashes back directly at CNN and talks about, I quote, the ideological agendas of CNN. Pretty incredible stuff, because clearly this is coming from Trump, because Trump believes that certain networks have ideological agendas, which they all do. But then for that to be on the national discourse, for that to be part of the discussion with the White House press secretary, that is an interesting line that I don't believe should be crossed. But and by the way, Trump never gave an interview to CNN while he was president, but he did give an interview to Fox and many other news networks. Let's take a look at notable moments from Kayleigh McEnany press conference where she was grilled by Jim Acosta from CNN. And I want you to contrast that with what Jennifer Psaki said to news reporters. earlier in this video. Let's roll the tape and hear from Jim Acosta and Kayleigh McEnany.
Will any White House officials be at the rally tomorrow?
There will be several White House officials at the rally tomorrow.
Will those officials, or will you be there, for example?
I will be there.
Will you and other White House officials be wearing masks at the rally?
It's a personal choice. I won't be wearing a mask. I can't speak for my colleagues.
And why won't you wear a mask? Is it sort of a personal political statement? Is it because the president would be disappointed in you if you don't wear a mask?
It's a
Why is
personal.
that?
It's a personal decision. I'm tested regularly. I feel that it's safe for me not to be wearing a mask, and I'm in compliance with CDC guidelines, which are recommended but not required.
And if I can ask you about last night, the president tweeted out some fake videos, one of which was labeled manipulated media by Twitter. Why is the president sharing fake videos on Twitter about two toddlers who are obviously showing a lot of love for one another? It seems as though he's exploiting children to make some sort of crass political point. Why is he sharing fake videos?
He was making a point about CNN specifically. He was making a point that CNN has regularly taken him out of context, that in 2019, CNN misleadingly aired a clip from one viewpoint repeatedly to falsely accuse the Covington boys of being, quote, students in MAGA gear harassing a Native American elder. That's a harassing video, a misleading video about children that had really grave consequences for their future.
So you're saying it's okay to exploit two toddlers hugging one another on a sidewalk to make some sort of political point? As you know, the president has described members of the press as fake news during the course of this administration. When you share fake videos like that, doesn't that make you fake news?
I think the president was making a satirical point that was quite funny if you go and actually watch the video. I think he was making a satire. The point is it was a play on CNN repeatedly taking the president out of context. Like the time when you guys had a chyron that read, "Trump slammed some illegal immigrants, they're animals." Well, guess what? The people he called animals were MS-13 illegal immigrants who regularly mutilate people in this country. Those things are entirely misleading.
You don't mind pointing out the president has referred to some Mexican immigrants as rapists. He has tried to pass a Muslim ban in this country. He has described black NFL players as sons of bitches if they take a knee during a football game.
That's an absurd attempt to justify the misleading headlines that are regularly on your network. Like I was just walking in, watching CNN as they lauded the quote rallies in the streets.
Are you saying that the president
Gotta let me
stokes
finish,
this
Jim.
sort
This
of-
isn't a cable news segment. I'm answering your question right now from the White House podium.
You're answering
When
the
I
question by
walk
trying
out
to
of
turn it
here,
around and throw it in
when I-
CNN. You're
when I
not
walk out
answering
here,
the
Jim,
gist of the question,
when I walk
which
out
is,
here, Jim, and I see
why
on
is the
your
president
when I
putting
see
up
on
fake
your
videos?
network celebratory headlines about the rallies and the protests outside, and you actually said protests and rallies. So in light of a protest, if these gatherings happen in light of a protest or a rally, as you say, that rally is to be condoned, but not the president's rally. I mean, it's appalling. You have one person on your network saying that this is a celebration in the streets, a carnival-like atmosphere. There's a guy with a sign that says free hugs. It's beautiful what's happening in the
some of the
streets.
protests been
There is
peaceful?
music.
Haven't some of
People
the-
are hugging. You celebrate hugging in the context of a protest, but in a Trump rally where we celebrate historic low African American unemployment, criminal justice reform, HBCUs, that rally is not allowed because guess what, Jim? It doesn't fit the ideological agenda of CNN.
So that's it, everybody. Let me know what you think in the comment section below. What do you think of the contrast between the press briefings? This is important because this is a new direction that we're heading in, and I want to know what our viewers and subscribers think. You'll find the links to the entire videos in the description section below. Please comment below. Let's engage. Thank you so much for watching, everybody. My name is Dr. Nitin Chhoda with Ignition Time. If you don't know anything about me, check out some information about me. You'll learn more about who I am, what my journey has been like, and why you should listen to me. I am a proud patriot. I'm a proud citizen of this beautiful country. For me, it's not about the red or the blue. It's about the red, white, and blue. I'm not Democrat. I'm not Republican. I'm American. I encourage you to subscribe to our channel. Please click subscribe. Please enable notifications. And please ignite that like button because the name of our channel is Ignition Time. We release videos every day and we release important content about the country, about the economy, and about your money. You can also follow us on Instagram. Our Instagram handle is ignition_time. That's ignition_time. And you can also follow us on Twitter. Our Twitter handle is also ignition_time. In fact, here's my Twitter feed. I encourage you to follow me on Twitter because you'll learn in real time what I'm reading. I retweet, and you'll be able to essentially read and follow news stories side by side with me. So I encourage you to follow me on Twitter. Now, I encourage you to also comment below, because one of the incredible things about our community is that our community is growing, it's bipartisan, it's respectful. So please comment below. You might make some new friends. Also, please share this video with just 2 friends or family members, just 2 friends or family members. I'd really appreciate that. We always include a link in the description section below to all our resources, multiple links at times. So you can always follow those news stories on your own. Once again, please click like, please subscribe, please enable notifications. I would greatly appreciate that. Thank you so much for watching. I'm looking forward to seeing you in the next episode of Ignition Time.